I'm glad to hear that. I'm sure that's been a concern by
Yeah.
people who even are not impacted, but as they think about it, they have expressed those concerns. Um, and then finally, I know this is not your area, but are we working on in any place that you know, um, 10 years from now, hopefully when all of this is corrected, and because of the incredible devaluation of properties in places like North Minneapolis, a converse dramatic move happens to bring things back into the right um, place market wise, and maybe even beyond that, because the upswing has its own energy again, and people
Sure.
start to say, well, speculate to some degree. Um, are we? That has to be something we're thinking about. What can we do with regulations to make sure that another round of advantage taking and flipping and all that is not here? I mean, that's not really your department,
Uh,
but
well, as far as creating market conditions that will allow our vision of all of Minneapolis to become a reality, you know, we are we are working, as I said, closer than ever with CPED to help to create those. I mean, from our perspective, we're right now using regulations to cut out the cancer, so to speak, to allow the patient to recover. And then as far as the administration of the antibiotics or rebuilding, we feel that that's CPED's function. And in fact, the various pieces that you have before you with the NSP money envisions a complete effort towards revitalization, from taking out the bad to creating an environment where we can put in the new. Now, one of the aspects of the CPED parts of this is that they're going to be doing some buying and holding. So they're going to be buying, as we get these buildings, they're going to be vacant lots, and they'll be buying those and holding them. No need to turn them out on the market right now because they're just not going to be used productively in this market. But holding them and then being able to assist property values by a strategic release of those will be helpful.
yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to a conversation about this with CPED because I can see in the future when things begin to normalize, the sheer rising values is going to produce another wave of speculation, and and there are many people buying now who are thinking, well, this is an investment for me, and then when things adjust and I can sell my house and I can move to another neighborhood, and so we don't have that long-term stability that other communities have, and unless we can stabilize the market, then it will destabilize again, and we'll have another round of this happening. I just
Yes, and
hate for that to happen.
let me take another crack at that because there are efforts that we are engaged in to create a regulatory environment that is friendly to people who are engaged in the activities that are friendly to a healthy city and that are poisonous to those who would come in and do things that we think deteriorate neighborhoods. Now, we have instituted in the past year the conversion fee ordinance, and that really is intended to make sure that when somebody's buying a property and it was an owner-occupied property and they're converting it to rental, that property's in good condition and it's going to stay in good condition. So there's a healthy fee for that. But what we want is to make sure that property is in good quality condition and that property owner understands that they're getting into a business that requires professional management. There are so many folks who think that owning rental property is the easiest way to make a living and it doesn't require any work. Well, nobody thinks that about operating any other business, operating a law office, a coffee shop, a tire store. You have to work to make money, and you have to work to make money in the rental business over the long haul. It requires work to adequately and professionally manage property. You've got to maintain that property. It requires work, ongoing investment. It requires management of tenant relations. When you have folks living in those properties, you are dealing with human beings who we always don't get along with each other, and so there are problems with that as well. So, we are, and the regulations, the changes to the rental dwelling license ordinance that were discussed earlier today here are another prime example of what we are trying to do is really to home in on the problems. Each of those regulations that we talked about earlier today were focused on properties that had conduct on premises. Each of those additional regulations were focused on properties that were the source of problems. We weren't imposing blanket regulations on every rental property owner in the city. We were focusing in on the ones that were causing us grief. And those are the types of regulations that we are constantly looking at as far as how we can improve them, minimizing the regulatory burden that we impose on people, the people that choose to conduct business in a professional, responsible manner. We don't want to get in their way. We want the guys that are causing us trouble, and that's where we want to focus our regulations.
Great. So every department does its part, then maybe we can stave off the next wave. All right. Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation.
Oh, and
your work.
I don't know if I said, but this is going back to the CD committee next week.
All right.
So I think that'll be the final public hearing on this. So, thank you.
Thank you very much.